Welcome to The Renovation Place, your trusted source for home remodeling and renovation advice. I'm Joel. I'm an architect and renovation contractor in suburban Chicago. And welcome to video podcast number 10. Today we're going to talk about how to select trade contractors for your projects around the house. This could apply to general contractors, or it could apply to just trade contractors. And trade contractors are people that are doing specific things on your house. This would be, for example, a flooring contractor, a drywall contractor, a painting contractor. So this isn't necessarily set up for somebody that's general contracting their own large project on the house, but more for somebody that's looking to have one simple thing done in the house or one type of project done in the house. For me, one of the most important things in selecting any contractor, a trade contractor, general contractor, somebody that's even going to do marketing work for me, is personality and the feeling I get when I'm talking to them or working with them. Okay, there's got to be a connection between you and this other person. If you don't like them, then it's not going to work out so well. And you meet them, first impressions a lot of times are key. You meet them and right away you don't like them and you think they're kind of weird, or you think they're kind of mean, or they're short or curse or kind of goofy. That goes a long way in telling you how the relationship is going to go with that person. So personality and feeling is one of the first things actually that I look at. I also look at a lot of other stuff like price and quality and references and all that, and we'll talk about that. But personality, you've got to get over that first hurdle with me. If I meet you and I don't like you, or I think you don't respect me, then I'm not going to work with you. And I think that's generally the case for anybody. One of the main things that a lot of people will judge a contractor by is, what is it? Cost. Everybody wants to know, how much is it going to cost? How cheap is it? Can you make it any cheaper? How can I save money? These are all very important things, but I think there's a couple other things that you should consider when considering a contractor as it relates to cost, and that's timing and the quality of the work you're going to get. You always have those three things working together, and it's kind of a ratio. So if you get a really cheap contractor, they might take forever to get it done, and the quality might not be so great. Or the quality could be great, but and the time is fast, but the cost is really high. So all of those things are kind of in relation to each other. So you kind of have to ask yourself, what's most important to you? Is cost the most important factor? Do you need it done really fast? Is it speed? I need it done fast. I'm willing to spend a little bit more so that it's done in time for my daughter's graduation party in May. Those types of things are what you need to ask yourself when you're considering a contractor. So those are questions that you should ask your contractor too. Timing. How long is it going to take you to get this project done? And this is before you've even hired the person or told them you're going to hire them. As you're talking to them and thinking about the project and considering who to use, you should ask them this question. How long do you think this project will take? When can you start? And be realistic about that. If they tell you that they can start, tomorrow, that raises kind of a red flag, because either, number one, either they're just telling you that to get you to sign, or they're a little too optimistic, or they're not busy enough because they kind of stink. So timing, ask about timing. Quality, it's important to consider or determine what kind of quality contractor this person is. Now everybody says they're quality. Oh, I'm quality, I do a beautiful job, and maybe even quality is in the name, because that's a pretty popular word to put in the name of businesses nowadays. But they may not be quality, so you need to figure out how to determine what their quality is. Many of them will let you see past projects, and if you're considering a very large project with this contractor, even a trade contractor, a large project, you're going to have them paint your whole house. For a painter, I would absolutely go and see work that they've done. I think it's really important, because they could seem like a nice guy, a great sales guy, but then the people that are doing the work are kind of sloppy, and you could be really disappointed later. So go and see some of the work they've done. It's a pain in the butt. It's inconvenient. I know you've got to take time out of your schedule, but you could be really happy later. I've done that before with trade contractors that we've hired for our business. I've gone and looked at work that they've done, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes I look around and go, boy, this isn't so great, and I end up not hiring them, and I'm happy about it, because then I don't have quality issues that I have to deal with later. And then the cost issue. I may or may not have potential contractors actually give me bids for the work that I'm going to do. Some of them won't do that, and I respect that, because just throwing numbers out for work that's unclear or you don't know the scope of what you're doing can be really dangerous, because you can shoot it really high or really low, and then you get yourself in trouble. You either don't get the job because you were really high, or you do get the job and you lose a lot of money on the job, and things don't work out for anybody in those cases. So you want to get an idea from the contractors, what do you think the ballpark is here? And some of them will squirm when you ask that question, but I can guarantee you when they walk into a project and look at what they're doing, they can give you a ballpark. They know roughly what it's going to cost within 10 to 20%. I know I do. I'm always very close. Even on large, complicated projects, I can walk in and pretty well know how much the project's going to cost. So make sure you ask them that question. You can go as far as to get fixed bids from all the contractors that you're talking to, and that's fine if they're willing to do that. Just make sure that what they're pricing for you is very clear, and it's the same with all the contractors that you're talking to. If one person is bidding a much larger project than the other person, then the numbers are going to be way out of whack. So make sure, a lot of people say the term apples to apples. Make sure that the pricing is apples to apples and everything is consistent among what you've told all the different contractors you're talking to. This next one is kind of similar to going and seeing their past work, and that's references. Anybody can give you references for people they've worked for in the past. References are kind of tricky, and I plan on doing a future podcast on references, because it's hard to get good information out of references, because any contractor will give you a whole list of great references. They're not going to give you a list of references of the projects that worked out terribly. That's just the way it is. But you can usually get even good references to say bad things or talk about problems that they might have had on the job. And that can give you an indication as to whether or not these problems are more serious or if it's just something that happened, because bad things happen to good contractors all the time. Materials that show up late, damaged products, all kinds of things happen. And it's how the contractor handles those problems that really tells the story. So get some references from the contractors, call them up. It's another thing that takes time, and it could be an issue of how much time am I willing to take in talking and calling references versus how big my project is. If you're just painting one room, it may not be worth it, and there's not a whole lot at stake. But again, if you're painting a whole house, it's well worth it to call the references and say, did they get the project done on the time they said they would? Were they way over budget? How did it turn out? Does it look gorgeous? Can I come see it? You know, so then you kind of fit in a site visit and get to see their work. And a lot of times, if the contractor did a great job, and the client was happy with them, people are more than willing to let you come by and take a look at their work. I've done that before for trade contractors. I've gone and seen work they've done, and I've actually had some of their potential clients come and see work that they've done for us. And I'm proud of them. If they've done great work and we have a good relationship, I want them to succeed. So check the references. I know it takes time, but do it anyway. So the last thing to consider, obviously, is how do I get the best price? Everybody wants to get the best price. They don't want to spend more than they have to get the work done. I know I don't, and nobody else does. That would be ridiculous that you would think that you would want to spend more than you have to. So how do you get the best price out of your contractor? Well, first of all, you have to consider what you want out of your contractor, okay? And getting the scope clear is one of the most important things. And what I mean by scope is, what are you having done? Make sure that you tell them everything that you want to have done up front, because not having the scope clear is one of the most dangerous things to any project, and that's for two reasons. First of all, you had an assumption about something that they were going to do that they didn't think that they were doing. That's a problem, because then they're in the midst of doing the work, and you walk in and then you say, well, what about this? And they say, well, I didn't have that. And you say, well, I thought you had it. That's a problem. Okay, so you want to make sure you avoid that, because what happens then is a project that you thought was going to cost X is now going to cost X plus 2, because now you have to add the scope of that work in there. The other part of the problem with that is that when they start adding work after the project is always underway, it's always going to be more expensive. So don't expect the work to be bargain basement pricing after they're in there already working. And there's two things at work there. Number one, the contractor is thinking, well, I'm already here. It's not like they're going to hire somebody else to do the work, so why don't I just price it aggressively so that I can get more money for this and make it worth the inconvenience. The other thing that's in there is that they're already set up, they're moving. If they have to stop, reset, back up, redo something or change something or bring in more materials, that takes more time. They're going to charge for that most of the time. And the other thing I just said is important too. It takes more time. So it's going to take more time to get your project done. So make sure that you have the scope or the plan for what you're going to do very clear so that the contractors aren't goofing around and messing around, and they know exactly what they can do. They can get in, they can get out, their price is accurate, and you get it done for the price that you expected. Make sure you ask them a lot of questions about what they're doing, their procedures, and the products that they use. Because believe it or not, that's important to getting the best price. Sometimes you may find out that they're using super high-end products that you may not find all that important. And you could say, you know what, I don't need that super fancy whatever. Let's take that out, and that way I can save $1,000 on this project. You know, for example, a bathroom, where the plumber is coming in and he's assumed some pretty high-end fixtures because maybe you got his name from a friend of yours and the friend really liked high-end stuff, so he assumed you liked high-end stuff. Make sure that you're clear about what those products are, because they will affect the price, and you can often get a better price if you ask those kinds of questions. Again, high-end products are harder to install. There's more labor involved too, so not just the cost of the products, but the cost of the labor to install them. Ask your contractor how the timing of the project will affect the price. And what I mean by that is what time of year. Some contractors are slower certain times of the year and can offer more aggressive pricing than other times of the year. Their busy time of year, they're going to be giving you the full boat price. It's going to be higher as compared to a different time of year when they can do it cheaper. They have nothing going on. Maybe some of their crews are off and things are quiet. That could be a better time of year for them. Another thing that you could do with your contractor is negotiate the price. If you feel comfortable with that. Some people are into negotiation. They do it all day long for their job, so negotiating with the contractor is fine. I typically don't negotiate with my clients, at least not much. So for some contractors it doesn't make sense. For a lot of trade contractors it can make sense. Maybe they're desperate for something. Maybe they're trying to fill a time slot next week that suddenly they had a job that canceled or something like that, and they're trying to fill that time slot. They may offer you a 5% or 10% discount if they can get in there and get that done next week. So ask that question. It's worth asking of your contractor. That's it for video podcast number 10. Make sure you visit my website at www.therenovationplace.com and sign up for my free PDF on how to hire a contractor. It's on the right side of the website. You just enter your name and your email address, and I'll make sure to send you my free PDF right away. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.